I'm sure the audience would love to hear one of your many stories about how you shifted somebody's mindset or relationship and the significant impact it made.
I actually have a couple from when I was younger and I was still running around inside the church. And somebody came up to me and asked me for some encouragement. And I basically said, your relationship with your mom is going to improve. You're going to get a lot more
Mm,
time to be with them because you are going to be moving back to your country of origin and you're going to be living with them for a little while. And so you and your mom are really going to work out your stuff and you're going to have really good communication. And then I got in trouble because she didn't want to hear she was moving back to her country of origin.
right,
She
right.
wanted nothing to do with that. And so I
Okay.
got called into the authorities of the church and, had to sit down and I got spoken to. And then a couple of months later, the person who pulled me aside to give me the talking to came up to me after a church service one morning and said, I need some encouragement. And I looked at them and pointed to my mentor across the room and said, Steve's over there. Last time we talked, you told me not to say anything that people don't want to hear. So why are you
Right.
coming up to me? Right. And I was like, if you want somebody who is trustworthy, you should go find Steve. And he said, no, I want to hear it from you. And so I closed my eyes and I just listened to the energy for a couple of minutes. And then I got this image in my head of him unwrapping a soccer ball. And he was somebody who was really into soccer. He still coaches soccer, right? He always has a soccer ball around. And so I was like, I see you unwrapping a soccer ball and I see you taking it out of the box and I see you playing with it in the field. And then I said, and I have no idea what that means.
Mm,
Sometimes I get the interpretation of what it means and sometimes I don't. And so I
okay.
just told him, I have no idea what that means. And he looked
Mm,
at me and he grinned and he said, I know what that means. And he walked away. So let me give you some backstory on this guy. And that is he has a wife. They had 3 children. And then she was pregnant and miscarried at 6 months. She
mm,
got pregnant a second time and miscarried again at 6 months. He came up to me after the loss of the second baby. And so he was handed a soccer ball that he got to play with. And so we found out a couple of months later that she was pregnant. And then she did carry that baby to term.
okay.
And
Wow.
so what I said, he grinned. He was so excited. He came up to me worried and he left me in peace and with excitement. And I look back and maybe a little bit of hope because I can put my spin on the events, right? Because that pregnancy went to term.